We're going to start with you this week. What have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot of F1 again. I've been playing a lot of Halo. I finished Halo Reach, which was extremely enjoyable. And I've also been playing Lonely Mountains Downhill, which you talked about a month ago, I think. You did the review for In Europe.
Yeah, at least a month ago, yeah. A little bit longer, maybe.
Having a good time with it. It's definitely a type of game that I haven't played for a long time. It feels, personally to me, it feels a little bit of a mix between sort of Trials Rising sort of game, a Trials game, and like a little bit like Tony Hawk's in some way, in the fact that you're going to like fall a lot and have to restart a lot. So it's pretty challenging, actually. I wasn't expecting such a high level of challenge. And I don't know how you had the controls on yours, but on I've got it on PC. I should mention I've got it on PC, not on Switch. And you have like two choices for controls. You can do left and right, or you can point the stick where you want to go. Which one did you prefer?
I've gone for the latter.
Yeah, that's what I'm using as well.
On the Switch version, it was default point the stick. I thought, oh, come on. I'm used to games like Ivan Iron Man Stewart on the SNES and the Amiga, and you're kind of used to that kind of tank controls, basically, you know? So I say, but once you start playing with the tank controls, it just doesn't feel intuitive enough to slide around a corner by flicking the stick around.
Sliding around corners feels really, really good. The only issue that I really have with those controls is it's a little bit unclear. Like, due to the camera angle, it can be quite difficult to figure out where you're actually going. And I've crashed a few times just because I thought I was pointing the stick like 85 degrees, but it was actually like 88, and that made me clip the rock. So just the way the controls work with the camera angle kind of make it hard, unnecessarily hard. It doesn't feel as intuitive maybe as it could, in my opinion. And that's caused a little bit of frustration on occasion. It's not a big problem, but it has happened. Like when you have to go over really thin bridges, for example.
Yes.
And there's been many times where it's not lined up whatsoever. And I've just gone straight down into the canyon. So
I always blame myself for that. It's like, right, I need to, and then especially at the start maybe of a new checkpoint, because I like this. I like the way that the checkpoints would I can't remember what button it is now. It's quite a while, X or whatever it was. You press X and you go straight back to the B checkpoint immediately, and then you hold the ZR trigger to pedal again, and you just that minute little touch to change the angle, and there's a lot of trial and error. But in these types of games, I expect that.
Yeah, I agree. And it's really nice that you can instantly start again. Like I like it in these sorts of games where your time is not wasted. Okay, you didn't do it, so boom, straight back to the start, try again. There's no messing about. And I think that works really well here. What else did I want to say about it? About the gameplay? How do you feel about the controls? Because I feel like I have a lot of control with the analog triggers. How does that feel on Switch? Do you feel like you have any room for movement? Like I can feel the difference between pressing down a little bit or like pressing it fully down for braking and for accelerating.
I didn't have any problem with the digital triggers. To be honest, I'm not at a loss, but yes, analog triggers would always be better. But it felt to me the type of game it was going for anyway was more of a kind of an arcade, and even with the digital triggers, and I didn't miss analog triggers at all, it was either on full pedal or full brake. That's what I would be using anyway, because I'd be braking at the last possible moment to slide around the corner, you know, just to shave those tenths off the time. So I didn't have a problem with the digital analog sticks. Digital analog sticks, can you have a digital analog stick? Digital triggers.
But nice. I'm enjoying it. I've only put a couple of hours in. I've unlocked all the trails in the first mountain, so that's 4.
Yeah.
I've unlocked 2 trails on the second mountain. It seems like there's quite a lot of content and quite a lot of challenges. Like I've tried a few of the expert challenges and they are pretty difficult. I'm going to have to probably unlock some extra bikes, because I want that. I think the standard one is a little bit too slow and it's not very good off-road. So I think I need a better bike, especially for off-roading. I really like how the levels are structured. in that you will repeat certain parts on different trails. So they'll the trails will merge slightly, and like after checkpoint 4 or something, it'll be the same part of the mountain, and then they'll branch off into different ones. So you can kind of learn the mountain, and I've found quite a lot of shortcuts. And it really helps you shave time off if you can find good shortcuts. But some of them are really tricky to pull off. Like you have to get the speed and the angle and the landing perfect, or you'll just fall off. So I think it's just...
The next bike that you probably unlock is the off-road bike, and that will help with further drops. As long as you're going at the right angle again, it will have a better suspension, so you'll get away with some more of the trickier falls.
Good. Well, yeah, it's nice. It's pleasant. The graphics are wonderful. Like, I've put everything on max settings. And I really like this sort of really simplistic art style, but they've got a lot of effects. So like Octopath Traveler, for example, it was using pixel art, but was using like modern day graphical effects. And they do the same thing here. It's not pixel art, but it's like early like 3D polygon models, basically, isn't it? Like Mario 64 style.
Yeah.
But with shadows and lighting from 2019. And it looks really good. The only problem is it absolutely hammers my graphics card if I try to play it in anything higher than 1080p. So because I've got this weird system with my computer where you can, if you play in higher than 1080p, HDR looks a lot better. So playing this game at 2K 1440p looks stunning with HDR. Lots of really bright colors, but it struggles to run, unfortunately, so I have to turn it down to 1080p. And one thing I have noticed, and I wanted to check this because I thought my frame rate was stuttering a lot. And I thought, well, maybe I've got the graphics too high. So I went from 1080p down to 720p, and it's still a problem. So I think there's an issue with the PC version where like it runs at 60 frames a second for most of the time, but it stutters a lot, and it can really put you off. Like if you're coming around a corner or going down a steep hill, there'll just be a small like blip. It doesn't matter if it's like high graphics or low graphics, it's just in the game. And I wonder
how often was this happening?
Probably once every 30-40 seconds.
Oh, throughout my review time and playing it a little bit after, I haven't put much hours in after I finished reviewing. It's a game I definitely want to go back to, though. I did like it that much. So throughout my 10 hours of reviewing it, I've only seen 2 of those hiccups.
Wow.
But they're very noticeable.
They are. And
they tend to happen around the placement of checkpoints. So as I was going through a checkpoint, boop, there would be, but I only ever noticed it twice on the Switch. So it's sounding like the Switch version. I believe, though, the Switch version is running at 30 frames a second.
Yeah, but so that probably helps, to be honest.
And that's in handheld and on TV. Only twice I saw that.
It's a little bit irritating because it really is quite off-putting. So I might,
it would be very off-putting, especially you need to get your angles right.
I might bump it down to 30 and I'm obviously it's going to be much worse in 30 overall, but just to see if that issue disappears or not, because it is quite irritating. I wonder if it's a 60 frames a second or a PC sort of problem rather than anything else. But yeah, it's a good game. I'm enjoying it. I think solid, as we said, with Paper Mario, 7 or 8 out of 10. Except this isn't going to take me 40 hours to finish. It'll probably take me 5 or 6. So very happy to play it. I really like the art style. I think the idea is really good, and it's well executed as well. It's fun to play. It's fun to fail and keep trying, and then eventually do it. And it's really fun to shave time off your record. So, Greg was interested, I think, in this a little bit. I think it's a game that he would like a lot. To be honest, I think it's worth picking up.
I think so too. I like what I'm hearing. We sort of spoke, both of us, that we're not really in the mood for buying anything really at the minute. I'm only really wanting to buy stuff that I feel like I really want at the minute, and Lonely Mountains would be on that list. As soon as it comes down in price, I will absolutely jump on it.
Yeah.
And you kind of said there's enough content. There is enough content. There are 4 mountains, 4 tracks. And before we started recording as well, we were talking about the free ride mode, which is you got to get, because there's not many checkpoints. It takes away the checkpoints, and you got to get from the top of the mountain down to the bottom without falling once.
And
now on some of the easier tracks, it's possible. On some of the later tracks, it's treacherous. But Nick, if you do that on one of the tracks for the mountain, so go for the easiest one first, you'll unlock night mode for that mountain.
And that's where you only have your bike lights, yeah? So that makes it...
and it's pitch black.
And it's only one checkpoint there as well, start and finish, yeah? That sounds pretty hard.
Absolutely treacherous.
Well, there you go then. The lifespan of the game is probably massive, because I don't think it's going to be easy to do all those challenges. I would be happy, I've done all the beginner challenges so far that I've unlocked, and a couple of the expert ones, such as don't fall off more than 13 times, or beat the time. But some of the what are the ones after expert called? There's usually a time challenge after expert, and that is pretty difficult. I can just barely beat the expert time.
There's another level. Then it's a free. Then it's the free mode, and I can't remember what it's called.
The super hard time is you have to find all the shortcuts and execute them perfectly. So it's 16 tracks on 4 mountains doesn't sound like a lot, but I think with all the challenges and with all the possibilities and stuff, there actually is quite a lot of content for the price, and the game is hard, which is nice. It's nice to have a bit of a challenge.
I sometimes see a small track number as a positive in some games. I look at I
think it is in this case.
In this case,
you just, because you learn the track so intimately, instead of I played through WRC. I finished it a few weeks ago, and there's so many tracks, but they're so long and stuff. I can't, I will never remember the layouts of those tracks or anything. They're just not gonna stick with me. But something like this with only 4 mountains or whatever, I'm actually really looking forward to it. I'm tempted to go and pay full price for it.
It's worth it in my book anyway. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a like if you've enjoyed our content. You can also check out our other great content on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the N-E Café podcast from all good podcast providers. Just follow the links in the description below.